It feels good to fill up a sketchbook with drawings you're proud of, pictures that you can look back on without cringing. But I think there's another type of sketchbook that's actually more important than the social media worthy version, and that is the one reserved for the messy stuff. This boring, inexpensive book, this is what I'm talking about. The brand of sketchbook isn't important, or the size, as long as it's something that you're willing to draw in often. This is the place where I try things, not really knowing how they'll turn out. I push myself a little further because it's okay if it's ugly. I'm not doing this for anyone else. The only way to improve is to practice, and this sketchbook here is exactly for that, practice. Trial and error, figuring out what works for me and what doesn't. Now, I definitely enjoy watching sketchbook tours, don't get me wrong, but so often I have to remind myself that every page doesn't need to look amazing just because that's what we tend to see online. I know that I learned so much just by going for it, no pressure whatsoever. In this sketchbook here, I've been working on a lot of continuous line drawings, focusing on forms, landscape layouts, and composition. I've also been exploring textures, breaking my pictures into sections and adding different textures to each. There are a handful of portraits sprinkled throughout, but mainly landscapes. And I recently watched a video here on YouTube by an artist named Steven, I believe, and he was sharing his tips on trees and bushes, so I gave those tips a try. And in this next page here, I'm working on simple human forms, like you might see in a cityscape. And for some reason, I've included a witch. I'm not really sure why. And then another artist here on YouTube was sharing a simplified version of the Loomis method for faces. So I gave that a go, because why not? And this cliff was an attempt to work darker values into a simple sketch. So basically, page after page, I'm trying to improve upon these things that I find important in art, but I'm currently lacking the skill set to achieve. These pages are a way for me to say to myself, let's work this out, really get a good feel for these methods and techniques, so that when the time comes, I know how to put them into motion. Some pages, I would say, turned out pretty well, but certainly not all. Sometimes I'll use Pinterest for images, not to copy necessarily, but just to get basic ideas from. And Canva is another good place to look for specific references. Or I'll just draw what I see around my house or in my mind. I've been thinking of this book as my lazy sketchbook because most of the drawings aren't exactly finished. Most of the sketches are just thrown next to each other with seemingly no rhyme or reason. And I rarely spent more than a couple minutes on a single page. But there is great value in having a lazy sketchbook. These quick little drawings and studies have uncovered many useful insights about my own personal drawing style, things I never noticed before about my own tendencies and preferences. Creating all of these informal sketches, it serves as a tool to guide my learning process, and it helps me determine my next steps. Repetition helps things stick, and small adjustments along the way can lead towards overall improvement. So, practice, practice, and practice some more. Before I go, let me just say one last thing. If you're feeling overwhelmed by all of the breathtaking sketchbook tours on social media, you aren't alone. And this is your reminder to take a deep breath and give yourself permission to make unfinished art, cringy art, and to enjoy the paths you take while leveling up your artwork, one lazy sketchbook page at a time.